This is the Ross Grimsley Show. The Ross Grimsley Show is presented by Mobil 1. Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil helps extend engine life. Visit your local Jiffy Lube service center and ask for Mobil 1. Now, here's the old left-hander, Ross Grimsley.
Hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for being with us today on this cool, rainy day. Kyle Ottenheimer with us today.
Disgusting day in Baltimore.
It's a little wet and nasty, but hey, we're coming to you from the Live Casino Hotel studio. Like I said, a little rainy, cool day, a little dampish, but
I think nobody decided to come. At least it's a little earlier, so maybe there'll be time to fill out the parking lot. But it seeed like nobody was.
No, I know.
In their house today.
It was a little light out there, but hey, to get us started, let's tell you a little bit about one of my favorite places to go. My favorite place to go for crabs, Costa's Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard. They're known far and wide for great steamed crabs and crab cakes. Their nightly specials also include crab cake night on Monday, rib night on Tuesdays, steak night on Wednesdays, lobster night on Thursdays, and on that steak night on Wednesday, you can get a bottle of wine for half price. Check out costasinn.com and find out more. They'll also ship the delicious crab cakes anywhere in the United States. So Costa's Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard.
Can't beat it.
Nope. It's always red. Hadn't been there in a while. We need to go.
I would say
get some crabs. Anyway, Kenny Singleton's our guest today. We'll hear a little bit about we'll hear a little bit about the Yankees and what they did and didn't do.
Thankfully, did not do.
No, and what they're gonna do in the future. So
we're all heartbroken.
Oh, it's terrible
for the fine folks in New York and those ever-starved Yankees fans who are going to be missing out on a World Series. Of course, they've never had the pleasure of experiencing one.
No, God, 27 times they have won the World Championship, but it's been a decade since they've been in the World Series.
I'm fine with that. Like
everybody
leave it that way. Like
in this area. So, Anyway, tell me the story. In Houston with the Astros.
Well,
you were telling a little bit about this before.
It's a mess. Of course, it's also particularly odd because as Orioles fans now, it's almost like we feel like we're an extension of the Astros front office. But they're coming under some scrutiny for what the replacement for Mike Elias, and I've got to look up his name because admittedly off the top of my head I do not know it. The replacement for Mike Elias following the victory against the Yankees and Altuve's walk-off home run. In the celebration, amidst the celebration, with a cigar in his mouth apparently, and like hamming it up with whoever he was with, in the direction of three female reporters in the locker room.
This can't be good.
He essentially said, like, I'm so effing glad we got Osuna. Directed toward them and repeated it what apparently was like 5 times nearly.
Obvious what he was doing.
And, of course, Roberto Osuna, the closer, 24-year-old, was the one who the Blue Jays had suspended at the time when there was an investigation about domestic violence incident. The incident was eventually settled and taken out of court, and whatever happened is not, we're never going to know. But the Astros acquired him. And it was controversial at the time. It was mid-season.
Absolutely.
But, of course, he's a talented arm.
Yep.
And they claimed that it was the assistant GM in a time of difficult time for their player offering his support. They also claimed there was an interview going on in the locker room at the time that somebody was everybody said that everything the Astros is saying is incorrect, essentially. They're trying to pretend as though this didn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
And it's cast a bit of a cloud over that organization at the moment as they enter the World Series at a time when
a lot of this stuff that comes out, they have the thing now with Major League Baseball talking
Brandon Taubman is the name of the assistant GM.
Yeah, the things coming out now, they're Major League Baseball trying to eliminate minor league teams and restructure the minor leagues is causing a lot of
I don't think this is
difficulty. But it's a proposal. It's not. But it's really people are. I talked to an owner yesterday, and they are being directed to the minor league baseball. Pat O'Connor, who's the president, talked to them, but they are not happy because it's going to. Like I said, it's a proposal. I don't think it'll ever go as far as they're talking about. But if it does, I mean, they're just trying to restructure the whole minor leagues. And one of the things that they're talking about is improving the facilities, Well, you have that option to improve your facilities.
All of this is kind of under the facade that, like, and it's sort of like these minor league clubs would not exist without the major league clubs. That is a fact, of course, right?
Sure.
Like they are sustained by the major league club and the major league budget. So it's not as if like you're expecting the major league team to be throwing $70 million into each minor league team.
Exactly.
But you would think that there's a middle ground between.
If that's the problem they're talking about. I mean, you have a lot of these cities, a lot of these organizations have put money into the stadiums.
Sure.
Now, some of your teams.
So the Orioles did it with Ed Smith.
You know, Aberdeen is a low, a half-season team, which is a
beautiful
great facility.
Yeah.
Richmond, who's an older team, they've shelled in millions of dollars to make that facility better. It's been there for 30 years or so. The Diamond.
Was it Harrisburg?
Harrisburg. Well, no. Harrisburg's not bad, but Hagerstown.
Skipped. The one that Bryce Harper skipped because the outfield was so patchy that they were like, we're not going to risk it kind of thing.
I mean, a lot, but I mean, if the problem that they have PDC player development contracts that last 2-4 years, they're talking about coming in and doing 10 years, which is I'm going wait a minute. I mean, you want to work with these 10 years. I'm going
now. That's for the prospects. It's trying to essentially lock them in as
it's a working agreement with
the cities.
With the cities,
okay.
and the organization.
So it would be giving them essentially quote unquote more security and the peace of mind that they're going to be there for a longer period of time, but it's at the cost of fewer teams.
Well, and they want the minor league teams to put more money into.
Well, of course they always.
And they're going. Well, wait a minute, you're.
They want the cities to help.
Well, they want the teams, and they want the teams to pay more money
for the players.
In certain, you have to pay the Major League Baseball pay in the player development contract. They pay X number of dollars. The minor league team pays for travel.
Sure.
Some other things, but you get help from the major league team. Well, now basically. This major league, they're crying. We need to.
They're saying we're not rich enough to support you. Essentially,
we're going to pay the players more money, which is good.
Yeah.
But we're going to cut teams to justify that, which is absolutely asinine when it comes down to the thing. I think it'll get worked out. But if right off the top right now. Minor league baseball is not happy because it's going to eliminate
the pool
teams, jobs, coaches, managers, radio. I mean, it just goes people. And like I told you before, Butte, Montana, Helena, Bellingham, these little bitty towns that live for baseball, and they're not going to have baseball.
Yeah.
So you're trying to get more fans because obviously attendance is down. People are they have some problems with what's going on, and so now you're going to eliminate 42 teams.
Yep.
And, and jobs. It's like I said, I don't think it's going to go that far, but I mean they're pretty serious about what's going on. We'll get more information about
track
this.
Of, definitely,
and we'll hit more. Hopefully, I was going to get somebody on today, but they couldn't. They're not allowed to say anything.
For the best, also considering there's definitely some more. Pressing baseball issues to talk about. Considering
absolutely, I mean the managers.
Off, right?
I mean they got managers that are talking, are trying to get managers different teams.
But what about the two teams going tonight?
Oh well, that is really something. 8 o'clock, Houston, Washington. First game of the World Series. Looks like Cole against Scherzer. There's a lot of questions that Washington having this long time off.
What is that mentally, right? Like for a player, when you have that much downtime.
I'll give you the team, the last 10 years, the team that's clinched first.
Dodgers have been in that team a lot, it feels like.
Have lost 9 out of 10 series. So it is. You like to keep playing. You like, and Houston, as if they need it.
The opposite.
I mean,
of that,
they've
right?
been battling. They're on a high, so you keep going. Like I said, the team that finished.
But even as I think you have a particularly valuable perspective here. You're a pitcher. Would you rather have all that time to rest your arm? Of course, the Nationals have 4 starters that they are going to be using, and maybe not all in the starting capacity, but they will be eating up innings with their starting pitching. Would you rather have that downtime, or would you rather have the momentum that Houston?
The momentum, because believe me, you're not even thinking about your arm. Hey, put me in a game.
Right.
You're ready to go. And sometimes the playoffs, it become kind of anticlimactic when you get the World Series. I mean, that you get the World Series. I know working so hard in the playoffs to get to the World Series, and then you kind of go, we're here. But that's, you look at Washington, and there's another question. Washington, 81 of the 90 innings that they have played in the playoffs, 4 starters and 2 relievers.
It's the value of having a deep rotation, right?
Well, having a rotation. They're starting the Yankees, and we'll talk to Singy about this. The Yankees, they're starting pitching. They had a chance to go out and get some. They didn't. So now you're seeing how valuable this is. The Astros, they're hitting. They hit 179 against the Yankees. They got 22 runs in 6 games, but the big hits were the home runs.
And that's the thing. You're not afraid of Houston showing up in the World Series and not putting together at bats, right? That lineup top to bottom is full of guys that are some of the best at the positions in the league.
And you go down each catching, second base, shortstop. It looks like Houston, has the better players. One of the things that I saw, left field, Mickey Brantley and Soto. Now, Soto's a young 20-year-old guy, and it's a slight. I think it's an edge to the Nationals there, but Brantley hit 311.
Brantley's one of the most steady, underrated guys,
and he's a pretty good defensive player. And
smooth.
And I read something.
His nickname is Dr. Smooth.
Dr. Smooth, and then Soto, who's a 401 on base percentage. Big hits in the postseason.
I don't know if we've seen a guy, and it doesn't get talked about the same way as maybe he should be because of the volume of really good young players in baseball right now, and he's not like he doesn't have the eye-popping speed or maybe power. He has a hell of power, but Acuna, right, is a little bit more of an exciting young talent than Soto, but Soto is so tremendous.
No, and he's got some big hits, but his defense, somebody said his defense was better than Brantley, I'm going, I don't know about that. I disagree there. Center field, you got Springer. They got Victor Robles,
who's a tremendous defender,
who's had the hamstring problem. He gets on base, better defender. Then you got right field with Reddick and Eaton. That's about even. They both get on base. DH looks like the Astros with Alvarez.
You would hope the Astros have a better DH than the Nationals.
Yeah, really. But the thing is obvious, the pitching is going to dictate what goes on. And they got the starters on both teams are unbelievable.
Cole will be going in Game 1, correct?
Yeah, that's from what I understand. Cole and Scherzer. Then you get the bullpens. I like Houston's bullpen. I think they got more guys in that have done.
But at which point does Washington's bullpen become its rotation? Right? Why would they not just turn to Sanchez if they needed relief, right?
They're going or Corbin. That's the Yankee or the Houston hits left-handed pitchers really well. So, but Corbin's been throwing well. It all comes down. You make your pitches, you do your thing, you'll come out, doing well. But Houston, 107 wins. They, from May the 23rd, that's when Washington was 19-31.
Yeah.
They turned it around. They went 74-38. The Astros from that point was 73-37.
Well, they never stopped being great.
No. But Washington's on a roll. They got a high going. That layoff. I don't know if that's going to help them. And,
you're going to have your. Is it difficult as a pitcher to pitch on too much rest? Right? How many days
for a young guy? For a young guy, because what happens it's just like. Verlander for 3 days rest. You don't feel he's never done it. He never did it in his whole career. So, and you saw his command. What happens is you don't feel like quite the same, and so you try to put a little bit more into it. You're thinking more effort than locating.
Pitching kind of thing.
Young guys with more rest, I feel strong. I'm going to throw the ball 200 miles an hour, and you just throw command out the window. And I'm going to just power it. Then you got half a breaking ball. We saw Verlander do that. It wasn't him.
I think that we can reasonably say that at least, look, Corbin, all 4 of those guys are vets, right?
Yes.
It can only help that they're going to be fresh enough to have at least 100-plus pitch game. But if they're smart about how they use them, they could literally only use those 4 pitchers maybe.
And that's what they've done,
right?
So somebody's got to step up in the bullpen other than 2 guys. You're going to have to get some other guys step up. And you know what? In every playoff, every World Series, there's always somebody that surprises. Now, who's that guy going to be? You know, pitching, hitting, whatever.
Howie Kendrick's been
he's on fire. Now, where do you play him? First base, second base?
Figure somewhere out.
You're going to have to find somewhere to play him.
DH him when you go to Houston.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, I think, with the pitching, and you're going to see possibly some get a lead, move a guy over. Houston does it well. They don't strike out a lot.
No, they're the lowest in the league, and they strike the most guys
their pitchers
out.
strike the most guys out. So you got something going, but Washington, they made it here. And
if they're guys, right, if Scherzer and Strasburg and Corbin and Sanchez pitch their best, like that's tough to beat.
Really. I mean, they, like I said, it's going to be fun to watch. It really is. And, are they going to be able to neutralize Houston? Because they're not swinging the bats, they're hitting the home runs.
And Houston, after you get through, look, Greinke's been shaky, right? Like Greinke, despite his pedigree, has not pitched up to par, up to standard this postseason. And after that, it's Miley, right? Like their top two are as good as anybody in the league, probably better. But after that, they start to be a little bit more vulnerable. So if it makes it a little more interesting as far as while
Greinke's had problems in the.
What do you think?
It's who knows? I mean, it's just some guys. David Price. It hasn't pitched well.
But Greinke's still got his stuff, right? Like Greinke still throws the same way he did before. Price, you can show.
He is a guy. Now I saw Greinke when he was in Omaha with Kansas City. When he first,
he had some crazy stuff.
He had really power. I mean, he was, and you could see this guy. The big thing. He throws strikes, changes speeds. He's able to move the ball. Have some command.
He set the record for most losses in a season before somebody else went and broke it, I thought. But I think originally he had like 19-loss season with the Royals. And the mental side is what people have talked about with him.
Oh, yeah. And you listen to him, and he doesn't literally like to talk to a lot of people.
Weird.
And he just kind of stays stand backish. He don't want to say
nothing. He said, I think, one time, I would rather not throw a perfect game because I wouldn't want to deal with all of the media stuff afterwards.
Well, that's one of the things they always said. If you win 20 games, they want you to win 20 again. They expect you to win 20 again. I'm going, oh, that's right, don't win 20. Well, I know. Then I made the mistake of winning 20 in Montreal after I signed with them the first year. What a mistake that was the other year. But I told them, I said, don't expect, I win 12 to 15 games. And that's all. 20, I'm going, gee, many Chris, now what have I done? But, I mean, guys are – he's just like somebody that has problems in the, in
the big moments. It's been a struggle, but hopefully he can. They're going to need him.
They're going to need him. Exactly right. He's pitching the third game. I think Corbin is pitching the third game for Washington. So
is Verlander? He pitched Game 6, right? For the.
No, I'm not.
It wasn't Cole. They had Cole saved for 7 if they need him, and then now they're going to have him.
So Verlander's going to pitch. He's going to pitch.
I mean, look, it'll be a really interesting series due to the fact that. You wouldn't have thought it after they went and acquired Greinke that any one team would be better off starting pitching wise than the Astros come playoff time.
Yeah,
but this is the one team in baseball, them and maybe the Dodgers. But if Kershaw struggles, you can't really count him the same way. This is the only team in baseball I think that has a reasonable claim to having a better pitching staff, starting pitching staff, than the Houston Astros.
Yes, I mean, it comes down to the third game, Greinke against Corbin. Who would you rather have?
At this point, Corbin.
Really? And
then Game 4, it's no question, right? If Miley was ever forced into a start, right?
Well, they got an off day in between. I think the first 2 games. Then the off day, they go to where do they go? They go to Houston.
Well, it should be. Houston would have home field.
They're playing. They're playing in Houston tonight in the game 1 and 2.
First 2, and then
3, 4, and 5 in Washington.
1, 1, 1, right?
6 and 7 in.
Is that how
Houston.
The last 2? Okay.
6 and 7 because they get 4 and 3. So.
Okay, I mean it's. I'm
unless
intrigued.
they've changed.
And I think what I'm most happy about is look, the Astros were here last year. We get it. They're perennial contenders now.
Yeah,
they're still exciting to watch.
Yes.
They're still some of the most fun baseball players in the league to watch. And you can say the same about the Nationals. There's a load of talent in this World Series.
This playoffs has been fun. The playoffs, watched most of them. Tried to stay up. That's been really tough to do. But watch that. So I think the World Series. I mean, you got some great players that are playing in it. It should be. Really fun to watch.
And there's no Yankees.
Yeah, no, there's not.
There's no Yankees.
No Yankees.
Which is lovely.
Well, there's an Oriole bird possibly going in the Mascot Hall of Fame.
Well, of course.
That's
long overdue.
There are 10 finalists for this, and the Mascot Hall of Fame is in, I think, Whiting, Indiana, 30 miles from Chicago.
I didn't know this.
No, it is. It's for real.
Yeah, right.
There's 3 major league mascots.
And when does one become a Hall of Famer? These mascot.
There's unless this is a joke, but you need 65% of the votes to get in the 2020, and there's members of the thing in the Mascot Hall of Fame.
Mascots haven't even been around all that long. They weren't around when you played, right?
The chicken. The chicken was a big thing.
But I remember, in college, we had the guy who invented the Philly Fanatic.
Yes,
come and talk, and that was kind of the start of the traditional the mascot as we know him today.
Ted, I forget it. Ted starts with a G who was the chicken. But then the guy from Philadelphia, that's a fun one to watch.
No doubt.
I mean, they did some crazy things.
Yeah, I mean, it's an art now.
It was fun, but I just thought that was funny.
That is fun. I'm saying Orioles it's long overdue, right? The Orioles bird belongs.
Yes.
More and more times than the Orioles players of late, but hey.
The Arizona Fall League, the Sunrise Sequoias, where the Orioles are at, they share a team. The O's, Kansas City, New York, Texas, and Washington. Orioles have 7 players. That's more of a pitching league.
Oh, yeah?
From what the scouts have told me. I've talked to them.
Than the Fall League?
The Arizona Fall League.
Yeah.
That is more of a pitcher's
which
league.
Is good that obviously, you saw, I think who was it that crushed last? McKenna had a really good Fall League campaign last year.
Yeah.
It didn't quite.
Well, the hitters aren't swinging the bat very well. You got some pitchers. Kramer, 237 earned run average. Alex Wells, 066.
Well, you want to see more than that from those guys.
Cody Carroll, who is getting a chance to pitch, 235. And David LeBron, 355 earned run average. These guys, I mean, the big thing is they're not walking people, which is really, for young guys, that's really important to see. But, I think there's about 4 games left. The championship series is October the 26th, and Sunrise with the Orioles and a few other teams represented. They're 16-10. They're 3 games up, so that'll be good. That's another.
You just want to see these kids keep performing well.
And you know what? The better they do, the more they learn. When they get a chance to come to the big leagues, they'll be ready to stay, and that's something that. That's a problem, that you get guys up here too quick.
Oh, yeah.
They struggle, but you got to keep your eye on them, and you got to keep, and you can have all the stats numbers you want.
I think based on the fact that Mountcastle didn't see the major league field last year, I think that that the Orioles aren't going to just put guys in the majors because.
No, I mean he's got some things he needs to work on, and they're going to go until you get this. Yeah. And like I said, you come up here, you're going to stay. And that's the whole idea.
That's the intention. We're not calling you up unless we think you're here ready to stay.
Exactly right. And that's one of the reasons he's not there. He's working on a position. He's working on more contact. Yep. Just things that are going to help him and keep him here.
No doubt.
And that's, we saw Hayes. We saw Cisco go through some problems and stuff. So anyway, hopefully.
Continue that success from the fall to the spring. All right.
Yep.
We're going to take our break. On the other side, we'll chat with former Oriole and Yes Network analyst Ken Singleton. This is the Ross Grimsley Show from the Live Casino Hotel Studio at Pressbox.
This is Stan the Fan for Glen Burnie Transmissions, located right in the heart of Glen Burnie for almost 60 years. If you suspect you're having a transmission problem, GBT can save you hundreds of dollars over taking it to the dealers for a repair. Make an appointment for a free diagnostic and estimate. Call GBT at 855-728-1841. Their mission is simple: to provide excellent service at a reasonable price. Go to their website at gbt-online.com to check out all of the 5-star reviews. Let my friend Mark Schwartzman and his GBT team take the troubles out of transmission troubles. Call them today at 855-728-1841.
Baltimore's favorite bar is just 771 feet from home plate. Sliders Bar and Grill, just steps from Camden Yards, is the perfect sports bar for Ravens and Caps season, with all the games on dozens of TVs. Daily specials include Mexican Monday, Wing Ding Wednesday, Bloody Brunch Sunday, and more, with different drink specials every day of the week. Sliders celebrates Halloween on Saturday, October 26th from 7 p.m. till 2 a.m. Put on your costume and join the fun with drink specials, prize prizes, and fun all night long. Sliders for all of your sports, and some spooky Halloween fun.
Hey, this is Stan the Fan. You know we're all hoping for a special season out of our football team. When it comes to dining out casually and affordably, I know a place is special every season. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard. Not only are they known all over for their great steamed crabs and crab cakes, they have a couple specials you want to keep in mind. Monday night is crab cake night. Tuesday night is ribs night. Wednesday night is steak night, partnered with half-priced bottles of your favorite wines. And Thursday night is lobster night. So check out the Costas Inn this football season, and you may come back whatever the season. That's the Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard, 410-477-1975.
Hey, we're coming to you from the Live Casino Hotel studio. Ross Grimsley Show is presented by Mobile One. Mobile One full synthetic oil helps extend engine life. Visit your local Jiffy Lube service and ask for Mobile One. Mobile One synthetic oil. All right. Well, we got Kenny Singleton on the line. He's going to tell us a little bit about the Yankees. And Singy, you there with me, buddy?
Yes, I am, Ross. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, the Yankees haven't been to the World Series now in this decade.
Yeah.
They got 27 World Championships. Fill us in a little bit. We watched, obviously, the series against Houston. What is the next step? What are they going to do?
Yeah, they've got some decisions to make. That's for sure. It was kind of an interesting series. Well, we all know that Houston's a very good team. In fact, I think that they got a good shot at winning the World Series. But the Yankees this year, in a way, I was kind of surprised they got as far as they did with all the injuries they had. But they did make it to the championship series, and they came up short. As far as what they're going to do they've got some interesting decisions to make after this season's over for them. Dylan Betances can be a free agent. I know he only pitched at 2 hitters all season because of his injuries and struck them both out, and then injured himself again, partially tore his Achilles tendon, celebrating by jumping off the mound.
Not good.
That kind of show what kind of year he had.
Unbelievable. Well, you're noticing, I think, how important starting pitching is now, how deep your rotation is. I know the Yankees, they had a chance to get some starters possibly at the trade deadline. They didn't do that. So obviously they're going to look to either sign a free agent or free agents or make trades. What do you kind of think they're leaning towards?
I think maybe both, Ross, making some deals. There's some speculation already that they might be thinking about trying to acquire Francisco Lindor from the Cleveland Indians for some prospects and letting Didi Gregorius go as a free agent. Like I said, they have some interesting decisions. Betances is one. Aroldis Chapman can opt out of his contract, and a lot of people feel he will do that. So the Yankees might have to tack on some bucks to him to keep him. Brett Gardner can be a free agent. I think he will be back. I don't think the Yankees want to risk losing both CC Sabathia and Brett Gardner to two longest tenured players. CC, of course, retired, but to let Gardner go, Gardner and CC kind of run the team in the clubhouse. So I think they'll bring Gardner back on a one-year deal. He did have a pretty good year. He had 28 home runs, the most he's ever hit. And I think another player that might fall into the under the radar category is Austin Romine, their backup catcher. The pitchers love throwing to this guy. He is very solid defensively. Sometimes you see Sanchez have problems behind the plate. That doesn't.
We talked about that last night.
Yeah, we did. That doesn't happen to Romine.
Oh, Sanchez had some. I mean, he looked like a bad goalie. I mean,
you're right, Ross. And what happens with him, I think sometimes when he doesn't hit, it affects his ability to catch. And he didn't hit much towards the last part of the season. I know he ended up with 34 home runs, but it almost seemed like he hit 34 home runs within a period of 3 weeks.
Right.
And didn't hit for the rest of the year. I mean, the potential is there. And I will say this, to his credit this year, he came into the spring training in
Correct.
much better shape than he was the year before,
Right.
when he really struggled with injuries. And he had some injuries again this year. That's why Romine got to play a lot. And Romine, to me, he got some clutch hits for them as well. So I think the Yankees they would be better off bringing Romine back, and at least to be the backup for Sanchez, because I don't think Sanchez is going anywhere.
Would they move him? Would they move him to first base, or could they? Would that be a possibility?
Ooh, that would be that'd be interesting, because at the end of the year, LeMahieu was playing first base.
Right.
And LeMahieu can, he's a second baseman by trade, but he also played third base this year. He was solid at all three positions, and he hit all season long. I don't think they would move Sanchez to first base. First of all, he holds the Yankees' record for home runs by catcher in a season. He set that this year.
Right.
So I think that they just have to put up with it. If when he's hitting well, he's going to catch pretty well. He's got a good arm.
Right.
He can throw. But when he doesn't hit, he seems to lose interest in everything. And I just think somehow they're just going to have to get this guy's mind. He's got the talent. They got to get his mind going in the right direction.
Ken, I obviously have this from the perspective of an Orioles fan, but it feels almost like a perfect storm at the moment, as on the mound tonight for the Astros, Garrett Cole's pitching better than anybody in all of baseball, and he figures to be available on the free agent market this offseason, which used to mean the Yankees are 90% sure to get him. Is that going to be the case?
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about that.
So then you think that they're maybe a little bit, they're shying away from perhaps the luxury tax might still be a factor in all of this and all of in this perspective?
Not at this time, and I will tell you this. The Yankees will be on the bidding for Garrett Cole, and there's a few reasons. Number one, they really need a number one starter.
Sure.
They really do. Severino's coming off a year where he was injured. Hopefully he'll be healthy next year for the Yankees, and he can slot into number two. And if Tanaka's your number three pitcher, that's a pretty good staff right there. No matter who is number four and who's number five. Garrett Cole, the Yankees drafted him number one out of high school. He went to UCLA. When he went to the Pirates, signed him, and he was their number one pick. After he got out of UCLA, the Yankees tried to trade for him. Pirates traded him to Houston. So this is their third kick at the can, if you will, their third time. He's going to cost a lot of money. He's probably going to get the highest free agent pitcher contract ever.
Yep.
And as we know, only a few teams can afford that, and the Yankees being one of them. So I think they will be in on it, but I'm not so sure he's going to want to pitch. Although he grew up a Yankee fan, he's a kid from California. And I'm sure the Dodgers and the Angels will be in on it, and maybe the Padres as well. So, and I would never ever blame a player for going back home to pitch or hit or play in front of a family and friends.
Especially with the San Diego weather.
What about Stanton? Now he's had his injury, but just as everybody else there. What is his situation, and what do you think for the future for him?
I don't think he's going anywhere.
Right.
First of all, there's not many teams can afford him. I think that this is one of those years where. I think he played less than 20 games.
Yeah.
The potential's still there for him to be an MVP type player. He's a dominating presence when he gets in the box. Although he's streaky.
Yep.
And when he is not swinging well, it's almost like a strikeout waiting to happen. But when he gets hot, I mean, it's like it's a home run waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So it's one or the other with him. He's sort of like the typical modern ball player. You get a lot of home runs and you get a lot of strikeouts. Yeah, that's why I think players like DJ LeMahieu, I would hope we find more and more players like him.
Right.
Players who do have power, but also are good hitters. I mean, he barrels up the ball just about every at bat.
What do you figure the Yankees do now that they have two guys who appear to be, viable third basemen in Andujar and Urshela? Are they going to try to move them around in a utility kind of way?
Yeah, that trade I was talking about for Lindor, Andujar is one of the pieces of that deal. He's a great kid. I mean, he really had a great rookie year. I thought he should have been Rookie of the Year, but Ohtani won. But I do think that Urshela came out of nowhere to be maybe what you would call a late bloomer. He could always field, and he is a much, much better fielder than Duhar. And Duhar is, when he's hitting, in his rookie year, he was a line drive waiting to happen when he came up to the plate. And he hit 47 doubles his rookie year, and I think 27 home runs, and drove in 90-something runs. And so the potential is there for him to be a very, very, very good hitter. But his fielding, the Yankees, they went to hell with him at third base. He really struggled, and he had to. They gave him this tutelage in spring training just to try and get him to be adequate at third base. Well, Urshela was signed as a backup and started the year in the minor leagues. And when Andujar was injured, I think in the second game of the season, and eventually needed shoulder surgery, Urshela comes up, plays third base like anybody you've ever seen, the best you've ever seen, and started to hit like he had never hit before, and ended up with 20 home runs.
Right.
And it's become a fan favorite. So I think Andujar's place on the team is sort of in jeopardy. You shouldn't lose your job through injury, but in this case, Urshela is so much better of a fielder at third base that I think Urshela is staying, and Duhar has a possibility of being traded.
Singy, before we let you go, give us your prognostication on this evening's World Series. Houston, Washington.
You know what, Ross? That's a good question.
Yeah.
And one reason I like this matchup in the World Series is because it's kind of old school.
Yep.
And it's because you got starting pitchers. I mean, real starters in this series. And I think from if we retrace to the Yankees in a moment, you know how much they rely on their bullpen.
Yeah.
And they've built their bullpen up to be maybe the best in the game. But I think their weakness showed at the end. They didn't have enough starters. They could have used Herman, who was suspended for domestic violence. They really could have used him in this postseason. I mean, he was their number one winner, but he wasn't there at all. So I think maybe it shed a light for the Yankees on how much we need to rely on starters, and they can get another starter or two. CeCe retired, and he wasn't the old CeCe. I really think that they could become like a super team if they can, somehow get Garrett Cole and maybe make a trade for somebody else, and really put together a rotation like they had back in the late '90s and the early 2000s, when every single guy they sent out there was a number one type pitcher, and the other teams really had to contend with that. So I think that's what they're thinking, and maybe that's the way they're going to go forward.
Yeah. Well, buddy, thanks a lot, man, and we'll be talking to you.
Ross, I will see you soon on a golf course near us.
Gotcha, man. Take care, buddy.
Okay, man.
All right. Kenny Singleton, that was always insightful, got some good information for us about the Yankees, and talk a little bit about the World Series. That's a big thing, the series, the idea that the starters, you got two teams with some pretty good starters. Bullpens, obviously, you don't want to overuse them. We've seen what happens in that. But Washington's going to have to get some relievers that are a couple more that are a little more helpful, so to speak. They've got two guys. Hopefully, two more can step up.
Unless they don't have to. Unless they're starters, just throw every inning.
And that's really. I mean, if that happens, unlikely. But if they get, it will be a lot more interesting if they get a couple more bullpen guys,
no doubt,
to help out. But it should be fun. First game tonight, 8:00. Second game tomorrow, same time, and then they got an off day and off to back to D.C. So that should be fun. You going to go down there?
No,
you're going to.
I'm going for a different reason.
You go to game too.
Hopefully it won't. No, it will not coincide. The traffic should be died down. I don't think the Redskins will cause too much.
I just thought I was thinking, are they playing in D.C. now? Because I'm going down there tonight, me and my wife, for another reason, and I'm going. It's going to be kind of tough. We're taking a train though, so that should be good. But
no, I'm not going for Nationals. I don't hate the Nationals. I'm indifferent. I want to see good players play, and they have some good players. So
I want to watch it on TV so I can kick back at my couch.
That sounds pretty nice to me.
All right, buddy. I think that's about it.
Well, today's show also, if you have, tonight's show also is brought to you by Sliders.
Oh, that's right. Let me tell you about Sliders. Whoops.
Yeah, all good.
Sliders Bar and Grill, 771 feet across the street from Camden Yards. Perfect place to watch all the home and away Ravens and Caps games, Orioles, just about any sport you want to watch.
Grub for World Series. You want to watch the World Series somewhere. It's
Sliders has drink specials every day, which is good. The home of Fancy Clancy beer. If you hadn't had it, you got to try it. That's really good. Go to sliders.com for all the Sliders events and specials. Sliders Bar and Grill, right across the street from Camden Yards. Almost forgot, buddy.
No,
Thank you.
We got it.
Anyway, see you next week.
Sounds good, sir.
Thanks, man.